All right, we tracked down Oliver Luck, the XFL Commissioner. Week 1 is in the books. Very good ratings, solid standing after 1 week. Now, we know the original XFL had record ratings as well. Did not go so well the second week. Do they anticipate that happening? I would hope not. I don't think so. I think you got a very good product this time around. What were some of the things that they liked about it? What would they like to see updated or changed? Some other ways that our listeners can get engaged with the XFL, as Commissioner Oliver Luck joins us now here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Oliver Luck, it's a pleasure to talk to you. A couple of fine WVU grads in the room here.
Oh, awesome. We got some fellow Mountaineers there. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We would not have it any other way. We only hire Mountaineers at this station, by the way.
Let's go.
It's one of those games when Pat McAfee was interviewing me. I wasn't quite sure where that was going to go.
Yes, he is quite a character, that
you
Pat
could say
McAfee.
that for whoever he's interviewing.
That's right. So week 1 in the book, salespeople put their projections in. Were your projections around that number, the ratings-wise? Were you guys happy with that? Is that something that exceeded your expectations?
Well, we were pleased with the first week. I mean, the ratings were solid. I'll be honest, our broadcasters kind of spend more time looking at those and how they break down and what the competition was in terms of other sport programming, and so they spend more time with that than we do. I looked at the football and liked what I saw by and large. I mean, there were a couple of moments where we got a little bit sloppy, and I guess that's to be expected, right? These guys are playing together the first time, on national television, but overall, I think it was good. The attendance was solid. As we mentioned, the ratings were good. With the exception of the New York Guardians game, I mean, they looked really strong. They just thumped Tampa Bay. The 3 other games were close. They went into the middle of the fourth quarter, still 1-score games, and that's important, right? Because you want to make sure that you've got the parity as best you can created across the league. So all in all, it was a good weekend. It sets expectations pretty high for the remainder of the season. So we got a lot of work to do to make sure we kind of maintain a high level of play. But I think if we do that, if we keep playing pretty good football, then everything else sort of takes care of itself.
Yeah, and I mean, for a lot of the listeners, we're kind of, we're about 2 hours from New York. We're kind of more outside the Philly area. But I know people that went to New York to go watch. There's actually a guy that works for our station that plays for Tampa. So we've got a lot of Tampa Viper fans in our area. He does our Eagles pregame show, and he plays for the Tampa Vipers. So we had a good contingent of people that follow that team. But for the people in this market that might just want to see, what are some of the highlights about the league that your message to those people would be?
Well, it's a brand new league, of course, and we're playing in the spring. I think we've got the best 450 players, more or less, who aren't under contract elsewhere. And virtually all the guys we have had NFL experience. In fact, Matt McGloin, quarterback for the New York team, which is coached by Kevin Gilbride. McGloin, started in 1 game in the National Football League. Cardale Jones, who plays in D.C., he's the starting quarterback for the Defenders. Had a great college career, but hasn't kind of found his footing in the National Football League. So, talented players. We play what I would call an up-tempo, fast-paced game. Got a 25-second play clock. Compare that to the 40-second play clock you have in the NFL. So the games move quickly. Got about a dozen differences in terms of the rules, but they're all sort of designed, to help us play fast, right? Play good football. It's a fun league. The best part about it may be that you can buy a ticket for $25 and sit in the lower bowl at MetLife, or in DC we play at Audi Field. For $20, you could get into Audi Field and watch a good 3-hour professional football game. Quality coaches, guys like I mentioned, Gilbride. You got Bob Stoops, you got Pep Hamilton, Jim Zorn's coaching the Seattle team, Jude Jones down in Houston. So, quality football coaches who are coaching really football players. Not quite good enough maybe for the NFL, but virtually all these guys have had NFL experience. We've got guys who are former first-round picks, who are playing in our league, guys who are, college All-Americans. I think you all know this. It's tough to make an NFL roster. It really is. So, the talent right, a cut below that is pretty darn good.
Talking with Oliver Luck, Commissioner, CEO of XFL. Oliver, the big discussion for a lot of people who watched the first week was the kickoff rule that you guys have, or the kickoff format, I should say, and also the conversion, PAT conversion of 1, 2, or 3 points. And I'm curious to know how that came about, who was kind of instrumental in thinking of those ways to kind of change your format and make it that attractive to fans.
Yeah, so what we did was really spend a lot of time with fans. We interacted with about 6,000 passionate, self-identified, passionate, diehard football fans. We put focus groups together. We worked, with the market research, and we tried to determine which plays in the NFL. A typical NFL game has about 170 plays. Which plays had become unimportant. So the kickoff, for example, is one play that we had become relatively insignificant because the vast majority of NFL kicks go into the end zone, and it's a touchback. There's no kickoff return. And, fans like kickoff returns. They don't really care about the kick per se. So, we designed a different kickoff, which almost guarantees a return. And, the early results are pretty promising in terms of what fans like. We saw a bunch of really cool and neat kickoff returns during week one. The extra point was sort of a similar rationale. Even after the NFL moved the kick back, right, they made it a little bit more difficult. It's still a 94-95% conversion rate. Mm-hmm. And that's, we think sort of a fait accompli, right? That's when you get up and go to the restroom or get a soda pop or whatever from the fridge. There's no drama left in the kick. I know Bears fans would dispute that, but for most of us, it's kind of an automatic thing. So we said, let's give fans additional, strategy. Let's give the coaches a chance to go for 1, go for 2, or go for 3. They're all plays from scrimmage, so they have to, create anything new. And we just thought that added strategy to the game, and it brought drama into what is, an important play, not the extra point play.
So was that?
There's a rationale.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying there's a rationale sort of like that, behind every one of our rule innovations. We thought, we don't want to just change for the sake of changing. We wanted to make sure that it could make what we think is already a great game and make it just a little bit better.
And do you guys have like what the NFL would call a competition committee that did that? That involves the coaches in the league, or was this more of a front office administrators who were getting together and trying to figure that out?
Yeah, I've been on the job now like almost 2 years. We started about a year and a half ago, and we asked a number of retired coaches, John Fox, Jim Caldwell. I got a number of my old retired players. Doug Flutie helped us a lot. We got some TV executives. We got some tech people. We got, health and safety guys, right, to make sure that, what we were doing was also going to be, at least, net zero in terms of health and safety. Ideally, we would improve safety conditions like we have on a kickoff. So we got a bunch of different people together and, just came up with about 100 ideas. And then we, whittled those down to things that really, we thought made some sense. We still want to play real football. It's 11 on 11. It's 4 downs, the same size field. And I think when people tuned in, they said, "Oh, this is really good football. It's just like what we expected with a couple of twists." We didn't want to go too far because then people would say, "What kind of a game is this?" It's kind of gimmicky. We wanted to. That's probably a good word. We wanted to stay away from gimmicks as best we could. But we made some tweaks that we think really have helped our game. I get asked all the time if will college football adopt this or will the NFL adopt that? The answer is who knows, no idea. But for our game, we think they make sense.
Oliver, obviously we're in the Atlantic City area, and sports gambling is blowing up. It's been taken out of the shadows here, the legalization of it, and we have a DraftKings sportsbook right in our backyard. And I know, obviously, the XFL has partnered up with DraftKings. So I just want the insight of the role that sports gambling played in getting to this point and the role that you believe it will have moving forward.
Well, I think, it's got to be considered one of the fastest growing sectors, right, in sports, professional sports, and I suppose in college sports as well. So we want to sort of embrace the sports wagering community. We want to be upfront and honest with the sports wagering community. If you watched our ESPN broadcast and the ABC broadcast this past weekend, we ran on the ticker the over/under in the spread. Of course, you can get that information in a lot of places, but it's nice to see it right, when the game is on. So, we want to engage with the sports community. We want to make sure that, that our game has integrity. That's sort of my job as commissioner, right? We never want to compromise the integrity, but ultimately, we think sports gambling, sports wagering is an important part of any sports league, and we want to make sure we do it right and work with the right partners. And we've got a bunch of solid partners like DraftKings, but others as well. So it's just, I think, a more realistic assessment of what's happening. And ever since the Supreme Court made its decision, what was that, a year and a half ago or so?
Yeah.
2 years ago now. It's been guns a blazing in that community, and that's a good thing. I find that to be a very healthy growth in terms of what it means for professional sport, and eventually, I'm sure, even for college sport.
We're talking with XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck. A couple more for you. The old USFL at a time, it competed for players. I don't know that that's something that you guys see, but is there a possibility of getting these college players a little younger and maybe generating interest because of those players? I mean, I don't know that you're going to get Steve Young or Jim Kelly to just say, hey, I'm going to go play in the XFL versus the NFL, but is there a way that maybe you can get younger players into your league to is that the next step for fan interest?
Well, we are not subject to the NFL's eligibility rule, which, of course, is 3 years out of high school. And, we could theoretically, get a kid out of high school directly or, college freshman or sophomore. We haven't done that with one exception. We've got a player on our St. Louis team who played 2 years of college ball and then decided to join us. He's eligible for the April draft, this year. But decided he needed more tape, more playing tape. He needed to sort of prove himself. Many of the scouting services have him as a first, second-round pick. His name is Kenny Robinson. He's a strong safety playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks. So we have that opportunity. We haven't really dipped our toe in that pond, in large part because, our goal was to get the best 450 players or so we possibly could in our league, as we launch. And the best players typically have a very similar profile, right? They're guys that played 3-4 years in college. They played 2, 3, 4 years in the NFL, They're professionals. They bring a certain attitude to the game. And it's hard for that freshman who might be 19 years old or 18 years old to really compete against 23, 24, 25-year-old physically mature and mentally mature, emotionally mature men. But it's an option we have, and it's something I think after this first season we may take a little bit of a deeper look at it.
I know it sounded like Vince was committed to 3 seasons here. We also heard that about the AAF, but I guess you feel better about where you guys are. They really rushed their product. But how much of that is contingent on the ratings being solid as opposed to the play being good?
Well, we certainly would like to have solid ratings. Start, albeit just 1 week, it was a good indicator that we can get some pretty good ratings. My belief is as long as our play is solid, I really do think ratings will come, attendance will come, everything will, not fall into place, easily, but that it's going to work as long as the play is good. We love as a nation watching football on television. It's really remarkable when you think about it. I think I saw a story not too long ago of the top 50 rated TV shows last calendar year.
Yeah.
41 were NFL games, and another 4 or 5 were college games. 45 out of the top 50 shows, football, television, right? There's a magic to it that, Vince certainly understands as somebody that really knows how to build businesses. So I think if we can play good quality football, close games, good plays, fast tempo, I really do think that, ratings will follow. And they're not going to be like the NFL, of course, but they'll be more than we need in a sense. I think attendance will be good. I think, we'll begin to sort of grow these brands, and build a solid foundation. We are pretty optimistic, but we got a long way to go still. No question about that.
Oliver, when I was on my phone this weekend making bets and losing money already on the XFL games, I noticed the XFL app. Now, I thought that was pretty cool. If you just want to take a second to maybe explain that to our listeners. I also saw, there's some cool stuff going on for each week, and especially this week coming up. I know it's available in the App Store that, for iPhone and Apple users. I'm sure it's for Android as well. So if you want to fill us in on the XFL app.
Yeah, so there's a Play XFL app which can be downloaded, and it's sort of our attempt to work with the sports wagering community. You can predict games, you can predict winners, and there's a serious prize of $500,000 that's available. So this is again, our first step at really embracing and engaging the sports wagering community. So it doesn't cost a dime. I would go to the App Store and download it if you're so inclined. But Play XFL.
All right, Oliver, I'll leave you with this because there were some reports that you guys, that a guy like Colin Kaepernick was interested but wanted too much money. Is that something that down the road that you would – I'm assuming right now you're probably fixed into a pretty slotted budget, but is that something that if the right player made sense monetarily that you could go over that, or is that not where the league is at this stage of your existence?
Well, we wanted to get the best players that we possibly could in our league, and quarterback play is critical, right? To every level of football, pro, college, high school. We got to have good quarterbacks. But as I look around our league, our MVP for the first weekend of play was P.J. Walker, from nearby Temple.
Yep.
Spent a couple of years in the Colts practice roster. Good player. He lit it up. He looked like Pat Mahomes out there in their opening game. Matt McGloin, who's up in New York with Kevin Gilbride, is throwing the ball like he's a straight out of Penn State. He looks young and mobile, and had a marvelous game. There's just a lot of good players out there that want to play in our league, and at this point, we're happy taking guys like PJ or Matt or Landry Jones and building those guys up into stars. They have a strong desire. They want to play in our league, and we're happy to have them.
All right, Oliver Luck, the CEO of the and Commissioner of the XFL, Week 2 this weekend, Saturday doubleheader, Sunday doubleheader, and of course we'll continue to cover that. Football at 4 with Johnny Mack coming up. And Oliver Luck, we appreciate your time. Let's go Mountaineers.
Sure. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda Hotline.